How many times have you struggled putting on a pair of jeans and then your entire day was ruined and you think, oh, I suck? All right, ladies, we have to break this cycle. I'm so excited to bring our guest on this week's episode of Sassy AF TV, Jennifer Ludington. Jenn helps talk to us about body image and why we need to step into our authentic power, lean into everything that makes us beautiful, and why we are not defined by the size of our jeans. Stay tuned for this hot episode, and thanks for watching Sassy AF TV. Welcome back to our next episode of Sassy AF TV. I am so excited to have our guest here today, Jennifer Ludington. I recently met Jenn through a mutual friend, Megan McCann, and I am just thrilled because her story just resonates with me so clearly. And like, I swear, Jenn, you were like speaking my language, and I think that you and I could just talk and do therapy all day long. Yeah. Coaching, therapy, whatever you want to call it. So I'm so thrilled to have you here. Thank you for being here. Our audience, if you are watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe. Also hit that bell so that you are getting notifications of our latest Sassy AF TV productions, and make sure you're following us at Sassy Healthy Fit on all social media platforms so you're not missing out on any of the Sassy Healthy Fit fun. And we're just so thrilled that you are here with us today. So Jenn, I'm super excited to have you here in person. This is going to be so much fun. I want to give everybody a little taste of what you do. So I'm going to give you your brief intro. I have an icebreaker, and then I'll let you dive in to tell us more about what you do. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, do you like to go by J Lud? Because I grabbed that off your website, and I kind of love it, like J Lo, J Lud.
Yeah, it's so funny. You know, my fitness friends in Boise, kind of like my crew, just kind of named me that for years. But yeah, Jenn's fine. You can call me J Lud if you want.
I love it. It's perfect. It's all, side note, total tangent, but J Lo and I share a birthday.
Oh,
I know. When I recently found out, I think she just turned 50.
She's looking good.
She looks freaking awesome. I'm like, J Lo. Yeah. Anyway, but J Lud is here, and that's amazing. Anyway, Jennifer Ludington is a weight loss and fitness coach, and she is on, how cool is this, a mission to empower women to live authentically. And that is beautiful. That is exactly what we're talking about here at Sassy Healthy Fit. We're clearly on the same page. So I'm thrilled to talk about this. But the very first thing I want to know, other than your awesome Indiana Jones picture behind you on the bridge swinging in Vietnam, is what is your favorite song or type of music to dance to?
Oh, that's easy. It's like super tribal.
Oh, nice.
That's not what you were expecting, was it?
No, it's not. But you know what? With that bridge behind you, I'm not surprised. I kind of love it. I want to see you do a super tribal dance on the bridge.
I do. I actually love tribal movement. Like, I love that, like, cool. Very like grounding, kind of animalistic, just raw.
Barefoot?
Movement. Barefoot for sure. Drums. Yeah. Like, I'm really into that. It really helps me get grounded and centered. And honestly, I've been doing it forever. Like, it's just something that I've always done, kind of like yoga. It's just part of me.
That's awesome.
Whenever I like really need to get grounded and pull myself into my authenticity, right, I put on some really heavy tribal drum music and go to town.
Have you ever been to a drum circle?
Yeah, I had when I was younger, a lot. I grew up in Southern California, so that was not like very weird. Like, people did it all the time.
I know. Well, I'm in Santa Barbara, and I hear people talk about this and do them. I've never actually been. I'm kind of embracing more of my natural roots as I just turned 40 this summer. So for me, I feel like becoming, turning 40 felt like more permission for myself to be more authentic. And I'm kind of, channeling that more authentic piece of myself and that tribal, natural, less LA lifestyle, which I was clinging to in my 20s desperately. And now I'm like, away, do not be in that mindset. So
I'm going to be 40 this year too. I'm going to be 40 in December. So it's like a great time.
It's awesome. 1979.
That's it, baby.
I love it. Well, Jenn, tell us about your journey, because you have such a powerful story. So I want to hear it directly from you. I know we've already talked, but I want you to share that with the audience.
Yeah, thank you for asking me. It's, I like to talk about it. It gets super dark. So I really wanted to tell your audience, get ready to fasten your seatbelts for a second, because it's probably not what you're expecting to hear from me. I've been in this industry for almost 15 years. I can't believe I
That's crazy.
right? I've owned my own fitness studios in Boise, yoga studios, opened my own nutrition bar company. Like I did all the things, right? I did all the things. But my journey, it didn't start like where I was like, ooh, I'm going to be into fitness my whole life. No, I wanted to be an attorney. Like I was super boring. I wanted to like study law. I know, weird. And my life turned and shifted, and I actually got into a very abusive relationship. And my ex-husband, have you ever felt like you can't breathe, like you're suffocated, like you have no voice, like you just can't get anything out, like you feel small? I felt like that, right? Like I felt like there was so much more to me, but I was being, emotionally and physically abused, and it was a part of my life that I'm not proud of. But getting stronger physically shifted me, like in a way I can't really put words to, but it was so powerful for me in my life that it literally pulled me out of that smallness, right? And allowed me to find my voice and to use my voice. And so as I got stronger, I was able to get rid of that relationship, to leave my ex-husband with a baby on my hip. My daughter was a baby.
Oh my gosh.
And, through this magical experience, I was able to open my own gym with sweat equity, literally, like literally zero money, right? And sweat equity. And I found my voice in inspiring and motivating and helping to empower women to do the same thing. Like I found that was my thing, right? So it was really powerful at first. Like it was super amazing. Everything was great. And then something happened. And I went down a path that I feel a lot of women go down. And it was this path of perfectionism. And being in the industry, there was a lot of pressure, right? To look a certain way, to look fitness perfect all the time, no matter what. And I got stuck in this mindset of, if I looked better, or I competed, or I looked fitness perfect like all the Instagram models, maybe I'll make more money, maybe I'll be more accepted in the industry, maybe I'll get further faster. So I started doing all the things. I was on stages for 10 years straight. I did fitness modeling. I did all of the things. And for about 6 years of that, it was a complete lie. I was living a horrible, nasty, hidden, shameful, dark secret. And through that journey, I developed just about every eating disorder on the planet. And I think I even made it my own. Like it was really dark. Okay. So on the outside, I owned these successful businesses. I was a single mom. I, looked fitness perfect, right? Abs were on point all the time, girl. And
I bet
it looked real good, right? Looked real good. But behind that perfectionism persona that I was pretending to be, I was the most miserable and most shameful and disgusted with myself that I'd ever been in my life. And it was eating me alive, like literally eating me alive, because I was not walking the walk. Right? And during this whole thing, people saw me as the healthiest person they could imagine, right? Where in the meantime, I was losing my hair. My thyroid had shut down. I hadn't had my period in 8 years.
Oh, God.
My pituitary gland was on the fritz. I wasn't sleeping. I had massive insomnia. My eyelashes were gone. It was a very, very unhealthy way of being. And it was really crazy to me, because looking back now, I justified everything, right? Like I justified it all. Oh, I'm not anorexic. I'm eating fish and lettuce 5 times a day. There's nothing wrong with that. Meanwhile, I was malnourished, right? I was completely malnourished. And I was exercising, literally, no joke, no exaggeration, and no 3 hours a day, minimum.
Yeah. Ugh.
And it was to the point where my life, I was distracted from everything that mattered, right? Like I was missing my daughter's ballet recitals. I was missing going out with my friends because I didn't want to eat that food. I was scared to go out because I didn't want to be pressured into eating food. I was hiding because I was scared of the outside world, because I just wanted to keep my size 0 rocked out body at all costs, because I thought if I didn't, I wouldn't be accepted. I wouldn't be loved. I wouldn't be approved of. I wouldn't be able to make the money I needed. I wouldn't be able to get the clients that I needed, like all these things, right?
Right.
And at the base of it, it was my unworthiness. It was this conversation that I wasn't worthy unless I looked or appeared a certain way. And I had to get to the root of that. And once I did and was able to understand what was causing all that backtrack, like slay the dragons is like what I like to say.
Right.
I always say sharpen your sword so you can slay your dragons, and sharpening your sword is doing all of the work so that you can get to the root of it, right? And really end it once and for all. And so this constant strive in my life was the detriment of me and my family unit. I was not there for my daughter. I look back and I don't remember periods of her life. Like I was so distracted with the external that I was almost like completely disconnected from my internal being, my authentic me. And so through that, I had to refine my love of fitness after healing from that and going through my own journey, having to reconnect with what I wanted from fitness, that not externally, like what I wanted it for me and for my health,
Right.
not for what the world said I needed to look like in order to be worthy of that title, right? So that's my journey in a nutshell, right? There's so much more, but for people to get a good grasp of where I came from and where I am now and how I help women work through that, I think is really important, because that's the stand I take for women, is that I take a stand for you to be your most authentic self, not what the external world thinks you should look like to be accepted and approved of.
Which is huge. I mean, there's so much right there. And, I've shared this before, my own journey. I've struggled with body image my entire life and haven't had quite the extreme, situation that you were in, but for sure can resonate very strongly with the body image, the self-worthiness, the self-acceptance, the fears, the disappointment in yourself, all of that. Like that to me, it's hard. And it's really, I mean, those dragons, they're not easy to slay. Even if you think your sword is super sharp, I mean, it's like, truly for me, it's almost a daily battle still. And even now with the, positive mindset and the tools that I have in place, but there were years when it would just take me down instantly and really lead to self-destructive behaviors. So I 100% empathize and, really get what you're talking about. What was your really pivotal moment where you finally realized like, oh shit, I got to make some changes here?
Yeah. This is again, something people would not expect me to say. I've been asked this question a lot and it still chokes me up. So bear with me. It wasn't anything that was happening to me, right? You'd think that like not sleeping, having all these health problems would be like, hello,
Right.
you're a health expert. What's going on with you? And this is one problem too. People in this industry don't talk about this.
Right.
And I want to break that because it's rampant. And I just needed to say that real fast. But I was a part of the problem. Believe me, I know. But now I am dedicated to being part of the solution. So with that being said, what happened, what triggered me, what was my pivotal moment that made me go, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I need to flip. It was interesting. I was sitting at the table. I was a single mom at the time, as I said, with my daughter. I think she was 7, maybe 8. And we were sitting at the dinner table, and she looked at me as innocent as could be. And she said, Mommy, have you ever eaten anything other than lettuce?
Mm.
It still chokes me up because it was in that moment that I realized what my behavior was doing to my child. And that was when I shifted. My light went off because it wasn't, it took it to a different level. Like I had to take it out of me and into what I was creating in my daughter. And that's when I got help. And I went through my own very long journey. Right? Like it's still going. I'm not trying to say it's stopped, but it's still going. I still I do my own work every day. But that's the beauty of it, is that, I get, with my breakdowns can, my breakdowns can help my clients' breakdowns break through, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how we learn.
It's so true. It's so true.
that just gave me chills. You know, I think about that a lot. I have a daughter who's 9.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think about that constantly, you know, what is the impact of my actions on, you know, and I have 2 boys also, but what is, I think it impacts my daughter more, but I feel like for all my children, but especially for my daughter, you know, what is the impact of my actions, my words? You know, when I've been in really self-destructive behavior, caught myself, you know, a few years ago when I was, you know, doing some really bad things and saying, you know, like, I hate myself, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, you know, what would my daughter think if she heard me say that? What would I think if, you know, what if she said that about herself, you know? So it's, I mean, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're so innocent. So that's amazing. But your daughter must be so proud of how you've grown and the role model that you are and how you've shown growth. And I was talking about this morning that, you know, we all have failures and we have to have gratitude for our failures because that's how we learn and grow. Because if you don't fail, you don't have see opportunity for growth and improvement. And I would think that you are such a beaming light of inspiration for your daughter, for showing her how far you've come and how you've really taken control and ownership of your authentic self. So
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I hope so. That's my hope, right? That's all we can do as mothers is hope that we can, you know, start to influence our children in a positive way. And that's a big part of being authentic, right? Is that when we're authentic and we're really honoring who we are and not externally looking to the world to tell us who we should be,
right.
that teaches our children to do the same, you know, and to not be sheep and to be lions in their own right and to use their voice. And so that's definitely, you know, where I want to lead my daughter.
Right. I mean, it's so interesting because I think about, you know, I spend a lot of time on social media and it's mostly business related, but you know, we all get kind of sucked into it. And it's interesting because on one hand, I'll see a lot of these images of women that are in fitness, right? Doing exactly what you're talking about, doing the bikini competitions, doing what seems to be over exercising, you know, the extreme focus on looks and doing all these poses and shifting their body and looking at, you know, their booties and their, you know, arm, all the things, right? So I see that. And then, you know, I'm starting to see this shift more of like self-acceptance and body love and body positivity. And you see, you know, these powerful influencers like Lizzo, for example. I don't know if you follow her much, but I mean, I love her messaging. You know, she is so clear in what she has to say about loving yourself and having acceptance. And we all have gifts to bring to this earth. So I'm curious, like, how do you see in what you're doing, you know, the shift from our, you know, body image obsessed culture? Where do you see it going?
Yeah, it's really interesting you said that because I will say one thing, you know, I've done 2 summits so far. The first one, which was, you know, collective of influencers. The first one was Body Love. It was the Body Love Summit. That was what it was called. And it was a beautiful thing. It was healing for me as well. It was beautiful for me to learn from these experts. But I see that taking over. But I also see our next generation, my daughter's generation, understanding. And I want to share this with the audience. It was really interesting to me the other day. I saw my daughter on Instagram. She was looking and she was scrolling through and I saw an image. I was like, oh, just that perfect fitness image, you know, just sculpted, molded, turned. And it looked completely unreal to me. And I looked and I said, Lainey, what do you think of that? And she said, oh, mommy, everybody knows that's not real. There's an app for that.
That's fantastic.
I said, there's an app for that?
I don't know what that means, by the way.
I'm so unclear about what you're talking about. She's like, oh yeah. It's the Body Perfector app. Here, look, it makes your waist smaller, your boobs bigger, your hips more. And I was shocked that these girls at 12, 13, right? Because those are my 2 daughters are 12 and 13, that they know that this is not reality. Like they get that. And it was interesting because I was like, do your friends know? Like, I'm curious now, honey. Like, she's like, oh yeah, we just make fun of it. So I do think there's a shift happening. I do think there's an awareness happening, but I think that our generation, to be really honest, you know, our age group was really affected by this physical perfectionism. And I think it plagues our generation, whereas younger generations are understanding that it's technology and Photoshop, right?
Right.
And we don't look like that in real life.
Right. Right.
I never looked like that in real life. Let's just be clear.
I mean, there's so much of it. It's so interesting. It's like the focus on body, right? And I know one of the things that you say is you are not your body, right? And I'd love to dive more into that, but I think about all the things that women do, especially, right? Extensions for their hair, eyelash extensions, liposuction, Botox. I mean, the list goes on, a million different diets, et cetera, right? Like all these things in the name of what? And in fact, it's funny. I go to a dermatologist on a regular basis because I've had some skin cancer issues. And the last time I was there, they always have up the thing about Juvederm and Botox and da-da-da. So, it piques my interest and I'm kind of like, oh, I've got these little wrinkles. And I mentioned it to the dermatologist and he says, sure, come talk to our consultant. You'll love it. It's so great. And I thought about it and I actually made an appointment to have a consult. And I came home and I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, are you kidding? What, I'm talking to myself. Are you kidding? You're 40. Though your lines on your face are part of your story, part of who you are as a beautiful woman. You don't need to go inject anything into your skin to try to be a different look or show a different age than you actually are. That's ridiculous. So of course I canceled the appointment, and I'm not judging anybody for wanting to do those sorts of things. But the point is, it's just interesting. There's so much money and media and all of it put into our physical appearance.
Yeah. And now I'm just going to say, I'm not a fan. I'm not opposed to any of that. I honestly think that whatever makes you feel good authentically about yourself and empowers you, I'm all for. I've had Botox in my forehead twice.
Yeah.
And I go in to get spray tanned before I go on vacation, and I get my hair colored, right?
Right.
I think there's a difference. I think there's a really strong difference. I think that when it becomes self-destructive and it becomes obsessive and it becomes your worth, then it becomes an issue. I think that wanting to improve yourself or wanting to feel better about yourself and wanting to, do things like that for yourself, get your nails done, whatever that is, I think that's beautiful. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What I think there's a hard line here to distinguish is when it becomes obsessive and a distraction to your life.
That's a great point.
And that's what it was for me. And I think that weight and our physical, people get obsessed with their stomach, if it's got cellulite on their glutes, if, all these things, and they get so obsessive about it that it becomes destructive to their relationships and to their well-being. And for me, that's what happened. I crossed that line. And I think that a lot of women out there do cross that line because they're striving so insanely to reach something that is completely, it's not even true. It doesn't even exist, you guys. I always had cellulite. There's cellulite on my thighs right now. It's okay. It's not going to make me a less of a person.
It's just part of who we are. Right?
It's not an integrity issue, right? So, and that's the thing is that, when it gets to that point, we need to figure this out. But when you're and it's okay for you to want to lose 10 pounds if it makes you feel better wearing a size 6. That's okay if that's good for you. But if it's taking over your life, it's distracting you from who you really are. It's distracting every thought in your life. You're not able to have a relationship because you're obsessed with what dinner you're going to eat, what food you're going to eat next, when you're going to go to the gym. That's the issue.
Right.
And I want to make that distinction because women come to me all the time. They're like, well, should I want to lose 10 pounds? Of course. If it makes you feel better about yourself, absolutely. That's beautiful. But if it's destructive, no. If it's going to take you down a road you can't come back from, no, it's not a good place for you to be. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. And I think it's a great point, right? So I want to be careful to also make sure that I'm not misrepresenting, because I also color my hair and get my nails done and all that. So totally good. And like I said, if somebody feels better, absolutely do the beauty treatments that make you feel good. What I struggle with is the constant emphasis on, what can you do to make yourself better? Going back to your point, Jen, about to make yourself more worthy. And that's where, there's no more worthy. I've had this mindset. I actually had this revelation the other day about myself, that for as long as I can remember, I've had the mindset, I need to lose 10 pounds. And then I had this freeing thought the other day. What if I stopped saying that? What if I stopped saying, I need to lose 10 pounds? because it doesn't really matter truthfully for me, like where my weight's been. It's always like, I need to lose 10 pounds.
No.
So to me, that was a distraction, like you said, and destructive because it's interfering with all the other things and preventing me from focusing my time and effort and energy on other more important things. So I'm like, what if I stop saying I need to lose 10 pounds? Where does that free up my energy? And that was pretty cool when I had that epiphany. And I was like, yeah, I don't need to lose 10 pounds. Like, I'm healthy. I take care of what I eat, what I exercise, etc. And that's great.
Yeah.
End of story.
End of story. And I think it's like, it's so funny because a lot of times people, well, what do you know? You know, people will say, what do you know about being overweight or having to lose weight or having an addiction to food? And it's the same, like, this is the same I want people to get right now. Whether you're overeating and you have emotional eating issues and you're overweight, or whether you're overeating, binge eating, and have emotional ties to food and you're underweight or anorexic or bulimic, there's still disordered eating patterns. It's the same thing. It just goes different ways. So it's the same obsession in the mind. It's the same link to that emotional satisfaction of the food or the control of the food, right? In either direction. And so what's interesting about people that are overweight, right? If we're talking about like an obesity epidemic, things like that, it's that food obsession. And then people that have eating disorders like I did, it's the same food obsession, right? All I thought about was food. All I thought about was food all day long. Every day, woke up, went to bed thinking about it. No, it's true. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
I laugh because I've been there.
Yeah.
100%.
I used to carry around a little Tupperware. It's so ridiculous. Like, who said this was normal behavior? Like this, like, when did this become normal for us to carry around Tupperware containers of chicken and broccoli in our purse? Like, where did that become normal in our in culture? And it's normal. People like accept that as okay. It's not. You shouldn't be living your life focused on the next 2-hour eating window. You're supposed to stuff food in your face that doesn't taste like anything. It's ridiculous. So I want to break women of that cultural norm. That's really not a norm. It's not normal. You shouldn't be thinking about food all day long. And if you are, I can help you break that. And that's what I do. Like, that's that cycle that we break. And I think that that's a really important first step, is breaking that food obsession cycle, because whether people are overweight trying to lose weight and they're in a health situation, or they're stuck in this cycle of trying to constantly look like the fitness model, there's always a food obsession component, always.
Right. I'm glad you said that. Transition's perfect, because my next thought was, what is the first step that you teach women to really live authentically and really realign their goals and healthy expectations, right? Because some part of that, like you said, you've got to break the cycle. So what's one tangible tip that anybody watching this right now, you know, a little tweak that you might suggest that they could try to change that within themselves?
Okay, so I have two, and I hope this is okay.
Yeah.
But I think that two are really important, because I really want to share this with your audience, because it will make a big difference right now for them. So the first one, I have a 5-part thing I teach, and it's my 5 T's, but I'm going to talk to you about the first couple. So the first one is, you have to figure out your trigger. So triggers are all around us, right? We all have different ones. So you've got to identify your triggers. And the way that you do that is you look at your week and you start to understand, okay, at 3:00, I eat. At 10:00, I eat. But why? What happens at 3:00? What happens at 10:00? Are you bored? Are you lonely? Are you irritated? Are you stressed from work? Are your kids coming home and now all of a sudden you want Teddy Grahams too? Like, what is it, right? So whatever that trigger is, you have to modify the behavior around it. So that usually means changing the environment. Mm-hmm. So what I always recommend is, I have a very classic thing for women is like mid-afternoon, they're snacky, right? So mid-afternoon, I shift their workout time to mid-afternoon. Okay. So you've got to change your environment around your trigger. And my client the other day, she's changed her evening walk. It's not after dinner. It's at 10:00 at night.
Oh,
she walks at 10:00 at night now instead of after dinner, because that's her trigger time. And an emotion that comes over you only lasts 90 seconds. Emotions flow through you for 90 seconds. That's it. Like, that's all. If you can change your environment and get out of that emotion for 90 seconds, you're free.
Yeah.
And then you just have to do it again the next day. Okay, so that's step one. The next thing is, you've got to actually test it. So this is a really important component. You have to give yourself evidence. And this is how I really learned to set myself free. So I love cheesecake. God, I dream about it. Like, I mean, I'll do anything for a good piece of cheesecake.
Like Rachel and Chandler in Friends when they're eating it off the floor with the fork.
Literally, that's me. So let's just be clear. It's definitely a trigger food for me because it sends me, like, if I eat it, it sends me into like this, well, I'll just eat this. And then it becomes self-sabotage where you just keep going because you're like, screw it. I already ate cheesecake. What else? Right? So what I had to do is give myself permission without guilt or judgment. And I let myself eat a small piece of cheesecake. Okay. Sounds benign. But if you were like me, you freak out. I shouldn't have eaten that. Oh God, what is it going to, am I going to gain weight? Oh, what is it going to do to my, all these things. So I allowed myself to have permission to eat the cheesecake around my family so that I wouldn't go into a trigger binge. Okay. Around my family at a restaurant. Okay. The next day I weigh myself and guess what? It doesn't go up. One piece of cheesecake doesn't cause you to gain 3 pounds. It might cause you to gain a quarter pound of water weight, but that's it. So what's the worst thing that can happen if you allow yourself to have something indulgent or something that makes you feel really good and yummy, and in the moment you just want to enjoy? You have to give yourself evidence that it's not going to derail your goals.
Love it.
So the evidence was for me is like, wow, I can actually do this once a week, live my life, enjoy my life, not feel guilty about eating my piece of cheesecake and beating myself up for the next 3 hours.
Right.
And look, the scale didn't barely move at all. And if it did, it was a quarter pound and that's just water.
Right.
And I logically know that.
Right.
So I allowed myself over time to do that with different things that I was scared to eat or I was preventing myself from eating or called bad. Food's not good or bad. It doesn't have an integrity value.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. Does not have, you guys, you're not bad or good because you eat kale. Okay, I'm sorry. You're not bad or good because you eat McDonald's. I'm sorry about that. Like, it's not an integrity thing. So get over that. So food you can't label good or bad. It's the emotion you attach to the food that's good or bad. So I had to release that bad emotion to the cheesecake of feeling guilty and shameful about it. Right. And once I did, and I showed myself I didn't gain weight, I'm able to go, oh, okay, I can have a piece of pizza at my kid's birthday party and I'm not going to gain weight. And that's healthy. That's fine. It's like once a week, have something. If it's a special occasion, enjoy it. I'm not saying that 80% of the time I don't eat correctly. I do. But there's 20% of the time that I don't.
Right.
And I don't gain weight. Weird. So I think that's a really good lesson for your audience to know is understand your triggers. Know that 90 seconds is the emotional rule. So it's a 90-second window. Change your environment during that window. And then the last thing is to test it. Give yourself an opportunity to enjoy that indulgent strawberry shortcake or that pizza, whatever that you like. And then just have one in a controlled environment where you're with your family or you're with a girlfriend out at dinner and you don't, go into a binge over it, right? And then allow yourself the evidence to get on the scale the next day. Scales aren't terrible. It's just feedback. People are like, oh, don't weigh yourself. It's just feedback. It's not negative or positive. It's just neutral. Right. It's just a measuring stick. That's it. So if you get on the scale and it shows you that, okay, I went up a little bit. Okay, well, how much? If you went up 5 pounds, something's going on. It's not about the pizza. But if you went up nothing, go have pizza once a week. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's so freeing.
Right.
So that's my advice to your audience is to do those two things to start this whole healing process. There's more, believe me, I've got a whole program, but these are the first couple steps.
No, that's awesome. That's really good. I think that, definitely recognizing your triggers. And I love what you said, because I was talking about this recently. It's like the not the good or bad, and I think that also relates really strongly to exercise, because I have been known, personally, to use exercise as a form of punishment. So if I had the mentality of, oh, I ate that cheesecake, now I'm bad, now I need to exercise a ton to make up for it and punish myself, right? So talk to me about exercise and how we need to reframe our healthy expectations around exercise. Yeah,
this is such an interesting topic because the exercise bulimia, or what I like to call it, right? The exercise bulimia, is a huge issue for women. And it controls you at some point because now your movement is associated with your bad. So now you've associated your movement, natural human movement, with bad. And I don't really love the word fitness. I really love the word movement. And I really love that because I think sometimes fitness has this negative connotation in our industry now. Because I think fitness is attached to this very extreme, intense thing. And you guys, movement is movement. It's just bodily, natural movement. And we overthink it so much to make it so scary.
Yes.
Right? Like,
so true.
Really, it's about finding the fluidity and flow in movement. And that's what I teach my clients is that you get a movement container, meaning, a couple times a week, 5 times a week, whatever that looks for you, you set aside a movement container. And every day I set aside my movement container. It's at 6 a.m. Now I'm telling you, that's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I'm not saying I go to the gym and I hit it hard at 6 a.m. every morning. I wake up and I tune in to my body and I say, what do I feel like doing today? And some days I go to the gym and I walk on the treadmill because I'm tired. Sometimes I go to the gym and I hit it hard because I feel amazing. But every day I commit to going at 6 a.m. It doesn't matter if it's for 20 minutes or an hour, I go.
Right.
And I listen to how I feel. And sometimes that means I just go hike. Sometimes that means I go on a walk with my dogs, whatever. But I do my movement container, what I've committed to that week. And so when I'm talking to women about this, it's about finding the enjoyment in what you like to do. Like I actually like Zumba once in a while. So sometimes I go to Zumba.
You do like tribal dancing.
Yeah, and that's also part of it. Like to get grounded, like go out, put your feet in the earth and feel what you need that day. So over exercise is a big problem because I think fitness means that you're out there pumping tons of iron and you're squatting heavy and you're doing HIIT workouts every day. That's not what this is about. It's about finding something that works for you and that you can flow with for the rest of your life, that you enjoy, that feels good in your body. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be so intense. It doesn't have to be crazy. It just has to be consistent. Mm-hmm. That's it. So if you love to jog, if you're like a big jogger, like you find joy in getting in the mountains or wherever it is and jogging, wonderful. But don't do what your neighbor's doing just because she's doing it and it's the thing to do. Do what feels good in your body. My girlfriend Megan, a really good friend, I think you're friends with Megan too. She can't do high intensity anymore, but she's great with it because she loves to hike. She loves to walk. She loves to do yoga. Right. So you have to tune into what feels good in your body and only do that. You don't need to do what the new fitness trend is or what your girlfriend does. Right. It's not about that. That's again, being authentic.
Right? I love that. And the staple that I always say is you have to do things in general in your life that are simple, sustainable, and fun, because if they're not those 3 things, you're not going to do it. And you're so right about the word fitness. And I agree. I often use the word movement. How did you move your body today? And this is the language that I use with my kids, especially. But also with women that I'm talking to regularly. And it's that, you just, I think it's you. I don't know.
I don't know either. My phone's off.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Well, we'll go on.
But yeah, you just have to move your body and have fun with it. It's like the other day I went to the playground at the local school up the street and I was swinging on the bars and that was super fun. This morning I went for a walk on the bluffs near my house, which is beautiful. I love being outside and just smelling the smells and seeing what's going on. So I think
don't know what's going on. Sorry.
That's okay. Anyway, but I think you're right. It's just about moving your body. And a lot of times I think women get stuck with, I have to go to the gym. I hate the gym. Fine, don't go to the gym. No big deal. There's so many things you can do. You don't have to go to the gym.
And that's the thing too. Like, I wanted to just point out, I do I have my programs are all designed for you to do at home or, you don't have to get caught in that. I can't afford going to the gym. I can't, right. All those things you just have to get out of your head. And I think that we get caught in that so easily. It's like, we're always following the biggest fitness trend and you're not listening to you. And so I just encourage women to be consistent, but listen to you. Like, don't look externally for how to move your body. It's not that serious. Like, have fun with it, like you said. Right. It's not that serious. Unless you're trying to get on a bikini stage or a fitness stage. Okay, there's a little bit more definitive way of working out. But if you're trying to be healthy and fit and strong for life and be able to just have a great lifestyle, just move.
Right. I love that. So I just want to wrap up with one final question back to bikini competitions because that's how it started. So they're still happening. And now based on this whole conversation that we've had, and I feel like I have a good sense of where you're at, but what do you think about a woman that wants to do a bikini competition and it sparks joy for her? What do you say?
I think it's wonderful. Yeah, and it's wonderful. I'm not going to stand in the way of anyone finding their joy there. What I will say is that me personally, I will not train women for bikini competitions any longer. So that's my personal stand on that, just because for me, I think that if it's something that you're going to find joy in and that you want to do that, that's great. But for me, I think that for lots of women, not all, but for lots of women, it creates food obsession and disordered eating patterns, as well as overexercise habits that are not healthy and hard to break. So I'm not saying for everyone that happens, but for a lot of women, I've seen that happen too, especially women that are under 35.
Yeah.
So that's my stand on it. I'm not in judgment over it whatsoever. I think that there are plenty of women that can have a healthy balance with it. I have one of my coaches is one of my very good friends, and she's 43 and still doing shows after show after show, and she's fine. She doesn't have that issue. I do. And I know a lot of women do. So if you're on the verge of that, I would say to you, look deeper into why you're actually finding joy in that and what the root of it is. And if that's necessary for your worthiness, your approval, or for your own self-love. And if it is, there's something deeper there that you might need to address. If you're doing it because it's an accomplishment, it's no big deal, it's just fun, I've never been in a bikini on stage, okay, I get that. But if you're looking for approval and you're looking for worthiness and for a different, deeper level of acceptance, then there's an issue there. And it will probably manifest into disordered eating patterns and overexercise.
Right.
That's
well, I so appreciate, you sharing your journey. And I feel like there's so much value in our stories. And when we are able to really own our story and share our story and live your journey, right? There's a reason you went through what you went through. And I'm sure at the time you didn't know, right? Nobody knows in the moment. And as you reflect back and as you teach now and as you share with the world, your story is very powerful. And even today, I've learned so much talking to you and changed my perspective, shifting it from, even my own self-judgment about, wanting to talk about my little lines going on here, and that was really only on myself, not on anyone else. But, thinking about it from a different perspective of, is that authentically who I am? And for me, it's not, and that's totally fine. And for someone else, whatever, again, is authentic to them, that's what's important. So I love that your message is so beautiful in that it's all about the authenticity and the individual journey and experience, because at the end of the day, we are all different women with different goals and joys, and tapping into what works for us in our hearts individually. That's where the magic is. So I think that that's a beautiful thing that you're teaching and sharing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. That's very, very nice of you. And I hope that your audience resonated with this. And again, I'm happy to answer questions and go deeper. I mean, I share my story very deeply on different platforms, and I get really raw about it. And I think it's important to get super real. So if anyone's struggling, I'm open. I'm always open to supporting. So if you're struggling in any of those areas and you just want to reach out to me, that's my joy is helping and supporting people through that. So I just want to put that out there.
Oh, I love that. I love it. So now tell us where everyone can find you. Tell us about your new program you have coming out. Tell us all the things, Jen.
I'm super excited. Thank you for asking me about what I'm doing, because I've been working one-on-one with clients for quite a while now. And now I'm transitioning to be able to have a bigger impact. And I've put my one-on-one program, which is where I teach about all these things we talked about today, in a group setting.
Awesome.
So I'm really excited about it. It's a 10-month program. So it's really, really working through that, getting to the root of it so that you never have to worry about that again. And so that's really exciting. And that will be launching this month in October. So that's exciting. And then the other thing that people can do is a really great way to connect with me and get in my community is in my Facebook group. It's called the Thrive Tribe. And I share all of my tips, my movement tips, my nutrition tips, my mindset tips. I go live just about every day in that group. So if you want to connect with me and get in community, that's a great way too.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure to share all of your contact information, the link to your Facebook group. I know you had your 5 tips guide that you wanted to share as well. So we'll share, right? So we'll share that. And I think that you have just been such a tremendous wealth of information and such great perspective. I know the women that you're helping, one-on-one and in your groups is so powerful. And when you get on stage and when you do, shows like this and you have the opportunity to share with even more people, Jenn, it's beautiful. And there's just so much value to what you bring to the table. So I'm so appreciative for you being here on the show and sharing all of it with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. So thank you for sharing your audience with me.
Thank you. Well, thank you to everyone watching. So glad you are here also listening to what we have to say with Jennifer Ludington today. Please make sure that you are following us at Sassy Healthy Fit. I'll include all of Jenn's contact information in the show notes. And don't forget to come back on our next episode of Sassy AF TV. Hope you have an awesome day and we'll be talking to you soon. Bye.